everyone, this is Shreya from Samaya. Now from today onwards, daily we are going to discuss each standard. So we'll start with SQC1, Standards on Quality Control. First, we'll see this notes was prepared in corner notes taking method, so that these were the points were like cues you have to trigger. This is the question type, and this is what you have to write the content. This is the content that you have to write if there was any question that was asked in the exam relating to this topic. Okay, first you could also take a printout of it, and the notes would be available in our Telegram channel. And what you could do is that after reading, you could close this notes portion and then recall the information here. So it's very easy, and we also provided summary here so that you could see it. And it's not very important, but you have to see it in a day before the examination. Okay, with no delay, please like this video and subscribe for more. And we're going to make our community bigger. And okay, now we are going to discuss SQC1. And what are the, you see, this is just of audit pronouncements, and you will get all the relevant information for your examination, and not a single important point was missed here. And this was newly made. This is not an year back video or 6 months back video. This is made only for May 2023 examination. And if you're also preparing for November 23, you could also watch this. And our first Q is elements of system, elements of a system of quality control. What is, you see, this was, all the essays were with respect to audit, but SQC standard is only such a standard which actually talks with a viewpoint of practicing unit, that is auditor. So now our first Q is elements of a system of quality control. And you could remember this as the six figure point, 6 point. It could be asked as Lehem, and it's very easy to remember. We often read that with mnemonic or without mnemonic, you could really grab this points. Leadership, ethical requirements, acceptance, continuance of client relationships, human resources, engagement, performance, and monitoring. Leadership responsibilities of what? The engagement partner or the auditor. He need to also have ethical requirements. These both go hand in hand. And the acceptance and continuance of client relationships, SA 200 series, right? SA 200 series. And then human resources, about the employees or staff or article assistants with the which were in the firm, and relating to the engagement performance, how the engagement that was taken was performed. These two were related. These were the people who do work, and this is how do they work. And this is the monitoring of the engagement partner of what? Work of these staff and article assistants or engagement team. Okay, leadership, ethical requirements, acceptance, human resources, engagement performance, and monitoring their work. And communicated, anything with regards to communication of the engagement partner to its engagement firm or engagement or the firm within or people within the firm, what he need to communicate. You see, this communicated is also in the keyword. If you forget this portion, you could write simply what was discussed in our keyword kit 2. I think it's mostly in keyword kit 2. You could refer that. There were 5 simple points you could write for any kind of communication. So what the engagement partner should communicate, or the auditor should audit partner should communicate with whom what? The message that each individual has a personal responsibility, which individual staff for what? Quality, and it's expected to comply these policies and procedures. This is what they have implemented a system here. Who have to follow that? Any kind of systems were what established by the top level management. Here for the audit firm, the top level management is the partner. So partner decides the policies and procedure systems. Who have to follow? The staff individual has to follow. And what he's communicating is that they have personal responsibility for the quality. Therefore, the firm encourages its personnel to communicate their views or concerns on quality control matters. Okay. There are, see, communication is a two-way communication. Communication should be two-way. So what they're communicating, audit partner is communicating to its personnel about the policies and procedures, and telling their personal responsibility. And what they're expecting to be the second way is that the second way from them is that they wanted to communicate their views and concerns on quality control matters. Communication is always a two-way. Leadership responsibilities for quality within the firm. You have seen this here from the elements of system of quality control. Leadership responsibilities, whenever they ask for any kind of in detail with leadership responsibilities, you could write this portion. designed to promote an internal culture that quality is essential in performing engagements. Performing engagements, what's performing? Why do we set up an audit firm? To do engagements, right? To do engagements. So this is what, why they were promoting their internal culture, because they wanted quality first thing. That is what the standard is talking about, quality in what matters. Why quality should be there? Quality should be there in the work they perform. What the work they perform engagements. So the firm designed to promote internal culture, the quality is essential in performing engagements. You see, audit is mostly a behavioral science. You'll get all answers and you need not by heart anything. What you need to have is you need to get answers for every question, like how, when, why, who should do, and why they are doing that. And you have to observe for every action there should be an end goal, right? Yeah. So by answering all that, what, who, and how, you could get most of the answers. Even if you don't remember, you see, audit is a vast kind of, it's a theoretical subject with a vast information, right? You cannot remember everything, even if you read whole day. Okay, and we all have experienced that, and that's why the most trickier part is that you need to know answers for everything, why they are doing, what all the elements, or what all the parties in the audit, whole audit syllabus, and what purpose they consist of, what work they have, what the responsibilities they have, so we could easily write our audit answers in an examination. So the firm's managing partners assume ultimate responsibility for the firm's system of quality control. Why they're assuming their ultimate responsibility is that it's their responsibility is to place or establish a system of quality control. Promotion of quality oriented internal culture depends on clear, consistent, and frequent actions and messages from all levels of the firm's management, emphasizing the firm's quality control policies and procedures and requirement to. Okay, when quality, okay, they have to communicate in order to promote. So what they are doing, they are more emphasizing on that, and communicating through communicating, and frequently consistent and frequent actions were taken place. For what? What's their purpose? Why, first of all, why quality was there? Quality is to work. What work are they doing? They're doing engagements have to be done on on compliance of what? Audit has to be done in compliance with auditing standards. That's the same thing here. We are also writing perform work that complies with professional standards and regulatory and legal requirements. What the auditor should comply with, he have to comply with professional standards, regulatory and legal requirements. Professional standards is our professional ethics and standards on accounting. Sorry, auditing standards. Audit has to be done as per auditing standards. Regulatory and legal requirements is Companies Act, and for banks it's Banking Act, Insurance, NBFC, PSU, as their requirements. And issue reports. Why the auditor is auditing the financial statements? In order to form an opinion and give audit report. To issue reports that are appropriate in circumstances. I want to mention here, this is actually an inherent risk. What is I want to mention inherent risk here. Inherent risk is that auditor is forming an opinion which is not suitable for the circumstances, that is not appropriate. So what he wanted to do is minimize that inherent risk of the audit, that issue audit reports that are appropriate in the circumstances. So in order to mitigate inherent risk, he wanted to give appropriate reports to the circumstances. And our second thing here is ethical requirements. If they have asked in detail about ethical requirements, what all ethical requirements he have to have possess is integrity, objectivity, professional competence, and due care, confidentiality, professional behavior. You read it once again and you could get that. Integrity, objectivity, rhythm, professional competence and due care, professional behavior. Professional competence and due care, professional behavior, confidentiality always. Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, professional behavior, and confidentiality. These were the ethical requirements that the auditor and its staff should possess. And with regards to independence of the auditor, you see, whenever there were independence, they consist of two: independence of the auditor and independent director. So you need to have, whenever you find, you have you have to know whether they were asking about the independence of whom, two parties. Mostly in case based, or whenever the in examination we'll get some situations, right, with regards to the management independence and and independence with regards to auditor, you have to mention both. And even in our RTP for the May 2023, they have asked about the independence of the auditor with regards to mind and appearance, and we are going to discuss that soon in tomorrow or evening, tomorrow or today. And with regards to independence of the auditor, what they have to do, they have to establish policies and procedures to maintain independence by the firm, its personnel, during including experts, communicate its independence requirements to its personnel, and identify and evaluate circumstances and relationships that create threats to independence to withdraw from engagement. Such policies and procedures should require engagement partner firm with relevant information about the client engagements, evaluate the overall impact on our independence, personnel to promptly notify circumstances and relationships that create a threat to independence. There wasn't some anything new here. This was all we have discussed above. We'll see what we have discussed. You see what we are thinking of. We are thinking that the system of quality control should be established by the audit partners. This is what they have also said. If you see here in a summary, we have here, right? This is the objective of SQC1. We'll see first what's the objective of SQC1. The firm should establish a system of quality control designed to provide it with a reasonable assurance that firm and its personnel comply with professional standards, regulatory and legal requirements, that reports issued by firm or engagement partner are appropriate in the circumstances. This is what the objective of the firm. You see, if you forget anything, if you forget everything that was in this PDF or with regards to SQC1, try to remember this just objective of the SQC1 so that you could retrieve everything that was discussed here. You see, you are listening it to here right now, right? And whenever you think of establish a quality system of quality control, what do you think of? You think of that it was the responsibility of the management and they have to communicate, and it had to comply with professional standards, regulatory requirements, and report have to be issued, and they will have to be appropriate in circumstances. You see, one after the another, the link comes on, and you could remember almost most of the information. So this is something that was relevant to the objective. They have to establish policies and procedures in maintaining independence. This is replaced by the quality there, because they are talking about in an overall perspective. This is, we are talking only with regards to independence, so we have replaced that with independence here. What we have to do, establishing policies is merely isn't enough. You have to communicate. That's what they are saying. You have to communicate. And what they have to find, identify and evaluate the circumstances and relationships that create threats to independence. In order, we said communication is a two-way thing. So what the personnel has to communicate to the management about the threats of such independence, or threats to any kind of circumstances that create a threat to independence. That's the second way for communication, 2 points over. What the policies and procedures should require. What they require is that engagement partner will be available with the information to evaluate the independence, okay, and personnel should notify which the threats that will create threats for the independence. This is the, again, a communication portion. So that what's the objective here? Establishing independence in the firm for what? To determine whether they satisfy independence requirements. Why they have to satisfy the independence requirements? Because as per SQC1, they have to follow professional standards. Professional standards include professional ethics and standards on accounting. Standards on accounting consists of SQC1. So SQC1 consists of independence requirements. So they have to satisfy independence requirements. Maintain and update its record relating to independence. Can take appropriate action with regards to identified threats to independence. These were the purpose of the independence. At least when they have to review the policies and procedures on independences, they have to review annually. At least annually, the firm should obtain written confirmation of compliance with its policies and procedures on independence from all firm personnel. Why they wanted written communication? Because they have said that they were personally responsible. There was a personal responsibility for what? So, call to action, written confirmation. And that's it with regards to independence. It's talking mostly about the communication, and they have to maintain records, and they have to properly identify, and they have to review the report, review the policies and procedures. And with regards to familiarity threat, We have been lately talking more about threat for independence. What's one threat is that familiarity threat. The same senior personnel on assurance engagement over a prolonged period may create a familiarity threat. The engagement partner should rotate after a predefined period, normally not more than 7 years. That is, at least for 7 years, they have to rotate the senior personnel. This is, don't confuse it with rotation of auditors. Rotation of auditors is applicable to a higher class of companies. This rotation is for, you see, rotation of auditors in Companies Act doesn't apply to private company, with a lower or small company, right? But for this under familiarity threat, the rotation is also applicable even to a small company or even a partnership or LLP also. That period is not more than 7 years. So don't confuse with that rotation of auditors in Companies Act. And the next point is acceptance and continuance of client relationships and specific engagement. That is SA 200 series. You could simply write that. And the integrity of the client and competence to perform the engagement. This is also two-way. We are checking. We are checking the integrity of the management in our client, and we are checking our competence and capabilities and our time also, and about the ethical requirements. So this is again a two-way. In order to write completely any answer, you have to check both sides of the coin. And with regards to, in order to check integrity of the client, how do you check the integrity of the client? First, you have to, how do you know the management is integrity, is having integrity or not? First, you have to identify the identify the identity and business reputation of the client. What's the reputation of its business? Whether they have any uh, loans that were unpaid and they have taken an IP or etc. or bankruptcy, and nature of client's operations. What the nature of the client's operations, and the attitude of the client, attitude of the management. The client is whether aggressively concerned in maintaining the firm's fee as low as possible, and inappropriate limitation in scope of work, that is restricting the auditor's work, involved in money laundering or other criminal activities or reasons for proposed appointment of the firm and non-reappointment of previous firm. What are the reasons for shifting the auditor? So you could write it in from here. Whenever there's an integrity of the management or client, you could write it from here, or you could write it from SA 200 series. That what are the prerequisites in order to accept any kind of engagement? You could also write it from there. Mostly the same points, just one or two excess. You have to see the business reputation and client's operations and attitude, why they were aggressively wanted to make the fee low possible and putting the scope restriction on scope and money laundering activities and any kind of reasons for not appointing the previous firm, and information that the firm obtains from the audit firm gets information from what all the sources, the communication with existing and previous providers of professional accountancy services to the client, and discussions with the third parties. In order to check the integrity or in order to check the client, from where they get the information, they get from the previous or existing professional accountancy service providers or other third parties like banks or any kind of NBFCs or the regulatories. And the inquiry of the firm personnel, this is outside, this is inside. Firm personnel or third parties such as bankers, legal counsel, and background searches with relevant database that are mostly talking about creditworthiness from credit rating agencies, etc. So these were the sources from which the auditor could get information about the client before accepting the engagement. About human resources is about the personnel of the audit firm. The shift was from client to the auditor now. Human resources. What's the procedure? This is mostly a procedural kind of thing. In order to appoint any personnel, what do? First, we recruit them and we evaluate the performance, and then we'll check the capabilities and their competence, and then for the career development and promotion is like from a promotion to higher level, and compensation for any kind of losses that he had or she had occurred due to their employment. This is what you have to remember. You could remember it mostly like you need not write all the points here. If you write 4 to 5 points, mostly it's enough. It's a regular kind of words, right? Recruitment, performance evaluation. See, remember CMP here, performance evaluation, and you have to remember the capabilities, competence, and promotion. These were mostly common terms. What the thing that was most often forget is compensation and career development. So you could remember that. And assignment of engagement teams. Engagement has started, and how do we have to assign the team? Assigning responsibility for each, you have to assign responsibility for each engagement to an engagement partner. One engagement partner, or one more than the engagement partner. First, you have the identity and role of the engagement partner are communicated to key members of the client management and those charged with governance. What they have to tell, they have to first tell about our engagement partner, about his identity and role, what is his responsibility, etc. And the engagement partner has appropriate capabilities, competence, and time to perform the role. From where these points have come? These points have come from before the acceptance of client's engagement. What we have to check? We have to check the competent capabilities, time, right? So we are communicating. We are communicating the same, and the responsibilities of the engagement partners are clearly defined and communicated to the partner. All the responsibilities. So the first what they are doing is that they are communicating about the identity and the role of the engagement partner to TCWG or client. And they have to check whether the engagement partner is having appropriate capability, competence, and time to perform. And at least the engagement partner have to know his responsibilities, and they have to be defined clearly and communicate to the engagement partners what his responsibilities. And with regard engagement performance, first you have to know what the objective in order to start anything. If even before reading this SQC1, our object we have also read our objective for the SQC1. And what's our objective for watching this video is to answer any kind of question we get from SQC1 in our audit examination May 2023 in order to answer that. So that's the objective. With regards to engagement, whether it's a due diligence or investigation or just giving an opinion on the financial statements, we have to know the objective and comply with engagement standards. Engagement standards were auditing standards, etc. And or other regulatory requirements that the company is under. And the process of engagement supervision and staff training and coaching, and appropriate documentation should be there. With regards to the human resources and audit documentation, if there were difference of opinion, what we have to write with regards to SQC1. The firm should establish policies and procedures for dealing with resolving the difference of opinion within the engagement team and with those consulted, and where applicable, between the engagement partner and engagement quality control reviewer. The conclusions reached should be documented and implemented. The report should not be issued until the matter is resolved. Mostly, this point was mostly tested in MCQ, where you get in a case scenario question, and the engagement team of this opinion and the audit engagement partner is of that opinion. And what you have to do is that you have to select most appropriate answer, that until conclusions were reached, the audit report should not be issued. Even the differences were between the engagement quality control reviewer also, until conclusions were reached, you should not issue the report. There were few options like since the engagement partner is of higher authority or he has ultimate responsibility, he can issue whatever he wants. No, until the conclusions were reached, he should not issue the audit report. It's mostly tested in MCQ, case based MCQs. And engagement documentation, you could write it also from audit documentation also. We'll see, this is so simple here. And this portion is also mostly tested in case based or MCQs. First thing, to complete the assembly of final engagement files on timely basis after the engagement reports have been finalized. So what you have to assemble the engagement files on timely basis. Time limit is ordinarily not more than 60 days after the date of auditor's report. The final assembly of that audit documentation should be not more than 60 days. That is, 60 days is allowed. Till 60 days allowed. It touches 60 days allowed. If it's 61, not allowed. Okay. That's also why we are stressing so much, is that you see all wars happen on borders, right? So if we get on 60th day and 61st day, we'll get more confused, and that MCQ costs us 2 marks. So that's why if it touches 60 days, no problem. If it touches 61st day, there's a problem there. Where two or more different reports are issued in respect of the same subject matter information of any entity, the firm's policies and procedures relating to time limits for assembly of final engagement files address each report as if were a separate engagement. So they're saying is that it's different reports. They were the time limits were of as a separate engagement. So when they issue the audit report, the 60 days, if the auditor or partner is giving 2 audit reports, the 60 days has to be calculated for two independently. And the retention period ordinarily is not shorter than 7 years from the date of auditor report. 7 years time limit we have also seen somewhere else where familiarity threat. Familiarity threat here, not more than 7 years. And the engagement documentation is a property of the firm at its discretion. Make portions or extract from engagement documentation available to clients. Such disclosure does not undermine the validity of the work performed. This is also tested in various MCQs, which audit documentation is a property of the client. Sorry, audit documentation is a property of the audit firm auditor, and whether they could give extracts or not, they could give extracts. But does that undermine their validity of the work performed? No. Now we are talking about the monitoring. The inspection of a selection of completed engagements is ordinarily performed on a cyclical basis. What the audit partner is inspecting that. Engagements selected for inspection include at least one engagement for each engagement partner over an inspection cycle, which ordinarily spans not more than 3 years. That cycle is for 3 years, and what for the which comes under inspection, at least one engagement for one engagement partner. That's one audit partner, one partner of the firm, at least one engagement should go for inspection for not more than 3 years. Ordinarily, that's not more than 3 years. For at least 3 years, the inspection has to be done at least 3 years. And the firm's evaluation of each type of deficiency should result in the recommendations for one or more following. If there were any deficiencies that were found, what the recommendations should be done. Taking appropriate remedial actions in relation to individual engagement or member of personnel. What do they, if they find any kind of irregularity or deficiency, what do they have to make? They have to make some remedial actions. What they have to do, they communicate the findings to those responsible for training and professional development, and change to the quality control policies and procedures, and disciplinary action against those who fail to comply those policies and procedures. So what they're talking about is, first they need to have remedial actions. What remedial actions have to be done? They have to communicate the findings to the person who is responsible. For what? For the professional development or training with personnel, etc. And changes to the quality control policies and procedures. Because the system was deficient, there exists some irregularity. So what we need to do? We need to modify, make changes to such policies and procedures. The policies and procedures were ample enough or enough, but the audit partner or personnel had violated that, had overlooked that, then had failed to comply that. What they have to take? They have to take disciplinary action. About our final portion is documentation. The firm should establish policies and procedures requiring appropriate documentation to provide evidence of operation of each element of its system of quality control. What they're telling is that we have this elements of system of quality control, right? All these 5 points have to be properly documented, evidencing their existence. What all they have to document? If they ask for documentation, what we have to document? If they ask for fraud, what we have to document, or how do we have to communicate the fraud? Have to describe. First, we have to tell about the size of our firm and the number of offices here. I have forgot the word offices here. The size of the firm and the number of offices and the degree of authority, both for the personnel and officer, and the nature of, and the nature. Hello, mic testing 1 2 3. And the nature and complexity of firms, practice, and organization. Here, I forgot that organization. And we have reached our summary portion. This is not so important, but you have to read it at least once on one day before the examination, and with regards to engagement partner or definitions of staff and suitably qualified external person. These were just the thing. And the main portion was, main objective is the objective of SQC1. The main portion objective of this summary is at least read this objective before going for the examination. And thank you, and like this video, and please do share with that's it for the SQC1, and hope you all have got quality time, and please do share it with your friends and subscribe our channel, and do like and comment on which video you wanted to be uploaded tomorrow. And